Okay, I talked to Poonie. Remember, she's 95, so it's gonna take time for her to get to the phone and stuff. I told her you're gonna call her. Do it tomorrow.
Okay, hold on.
And I don't know when Jean will be available, but I'm gonna give you her number.
And she's on the which side? The Suggs side?
Suggs side.
From Hollis Springs, Mississippi.
They're from High Springs and St. Louis. And East St. Louis. What's interesting about them, that Chuck Berry's wife was a Suggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that might be worth it, but they're from St. Louis. That might be something you want to investigate.
Okay. What's Poonie's phone number?
Okay, wait a minute. I got Jean's number first.
Okay.
Jean Horton. Her number is 1-314-605-3792.
Okay.
Let me pull up Poonie's number. So I talked to Poonie. She said she'll try to remember stuff, but Poonie's old.
And then what does Jean help her out or something? Or
no, Jean Horton is my cousin in St. Louis. Poonie lives with her daughters in Chicago.
okay, so you're saying if Poonie can't answer, then your cousin can.
She might know somebody she can turn you on to.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Oh, I keep messing up.
Doesn't he look a lot like Papa?
So I gave you Jean's first.
Uh-huh.
And now here's Poonie, if I can pull it up. Wait a minute. But I talked to her while I went out to take Karen home. If I can get it to come up.
Go tell Jackson to share the playlist with William. He'll know what that means. Share the playlist with William. He's in with Granny and Papa now.
Trying to get this to, okay, Poonie's number is 708 837
8 what?
708 837
Uh-huh.
8826. Okay. And she knows you're gonna call. But it's
okay.
the Suggs who were, Honey could speak 5 languages, and Honey was the one that knew Al Capone. And his daughter married Al Capone's son.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my son to come back.
Okay.
You said send a playlist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, no, tell him to send it to his brother. And here, take that back to Papa.
Which one?
Take this phone back to Papa. But
Which
tell him to send the playlist back to, tell him to send it to William.
I did.
No, he sent it to me.
How can you see a full face? That's yours. I don't see a full face yet. Dorothy, come and get this full screen or whatever.
Okay, ask William to get out of the bathroom.
Get this so I can see, they can see me and I can see them. That's them.
Hey.
Old,
But where's me?
You're right
old
here.
technology.
You gotta, you see yourself?
Yeah, I see it over there. Okay.
Carter. Hold on, just waiting for my sons.
Now we got another uncle in Headland, Hemet, California.
William. William, where are you? Come on, bud, let's do this. Okay. You're off devices for the rest of the day. Carter, come up, I want you to do it. Yeah, and all I'm saying is done with the devices for the rest of the day. You cannot sleep. Find something else to do, but other than give me attitude. Come on, you and I will do this.
Even though I'm not forced to, I still want to do it.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Okay. So here, I'm gonna have Carter read the questions. So you were
Okay, I
saying,
got my hand.
something, you were correcting yourself earlier when you're on the
Yeah.
phone.
About the Suggses. The Suggses and Alexanders. Everybody was from, as I understand it, was from Holly Springs, Mississippi. But the Suggses were the ones that hung out with Al Capone,
Okay,
Honey Suggs. And his daughter was married to Al Capone's son.
okay. So, did you find out more information about which of your uncles killed the white man?
No. Cooney might remember, or she can refer you to somebody who might remember.
Yeah, like, did he go to jail or anything?
No, he got out of town. You'd be lynched.
Yeah, true. Okay, all right. So, ask the first question.
What do you know about Grandpa's relationship with Malcolm X? Did get Malcolm a job for an REO?
For real. The company was called Real.
Attend his civil ceremony wedding?
I don't know officially about that. My mother knew Malcolm X's mother when she went crazy, but she lived here in Lansing till the 80s. Malcolm X's mother was alive till about 1986. But anyway, Malcolm X became a ward, and he lived for a while with my grandmother and my father and them when they were young. Okay.
So did he know Grandpa well?
Yeah. They used to call him, when he got the nickname Detroit Red, my father, because of his red hair, was called Lansing Red. But he was a little bit older than Malcolm X. He stayed with the younger sisters and of my father. And he stayed with my grandmother. My grandmother had the reputation on Birch Street. She was the mayor of Birch Street. So everybody respected her in that area because she was a big woman. She was 6'4". You got any more questions?
Yes. Did you ever hear about how our ancestors on Grandpa's side found out how they were free of slavery?
I guess their owner, who was also the master, probably let them go because he gave them the land. The plantation he gave to the slaves, and they divided it up. And so that's why they found out they were free. But he was also probably the father of a few of them. The master was.
Did you ever hear? I know. What were our parents' favorite songs? I know your dad liked I'll Be Seeing You by Liberace.
Liberace.
Oh,
But my
Liberace.
mother's was she was elected, what do you call it? She had music from everybody. She liked Barbara Streisand, she liked Aretha Franklin, Mahalia Jackson. She could sing anything. And she was once on TV in a contest, like the Ted Mack Original Hour, singing Got the Whole World in Your Hand.
Okay. What did your dad say about his experience training and getting hurt during World War II training?
He was just happy. He was like me. I got injured in training too. So they sent him home, and then your Uncle Ted was born. But he within a year they had sent him home, and he like I told him, he received the pension, but he never collected it because you have to follow up, and he never did until he was about 77 years old. But he came back to Chicago and got a job in one of the plants or something around Chicago. But then he saved his money and he came back to Lansing because he was a mama's boy. So he wanted to be around his mama. So he packed up my mother, Ted, and Larry and moved to, came back to Lansing.
Well, do you remember about Magic Johnson as a kid?
Yeah, he was a snotty-nosed kid who lived he was a tall little boy, And he ran around with droopy drawers, and he had a snotty nose. My little brothers knew him better, but I knew his brothers, the one that taught him how to play basketball, Quincy. In fact, I stopped by the wake for their father, and I saw Quincy and Yellow Bird Larry. They're the true ones that taught him how to play basketball. It's a myth that his father did it. It was Quincy and Larry, his big brothers.
What do you know about Professor and how she got her name?
Okay. Wiley Strickland was her daddy. And he thought it'd be something special if he wanted his daughter to be known as something special. And he thought the name Professor would be that professor, and she would end up being famous from that name. And that's why he named her Professor. And they used to call her Fess. And she had, like I said, she had a sister named Alice, one named Eula, one named Dinah, and the two brothers were Sam and Abe, and they married one of the Barnetts, Joe Barnett. And they all came from after. The funny thing about Wiley is that he fought in the Spanish-American War. He went to Cuba. And when you go to the monument out at the cemetery, there's a monument to him, and it says Cuba on his monument. But he did it as a 40-year-old man. And he wasn't supposed to fight in, they were supposed to be, what do you call them, stevedores, and carried all the equipment for the white soldiers and stuff. But they were drafted into fighting up that famous hill, San Juan Hill. And they did all the fighting. Teddy Roosevelt then followed them up. And they took all the credit. But they forced the stevedores to fight. They weren't trained to fight. They didn't allow them to fight like that. But they're the ones that were the true heroes of San Juan Hill and beat the Spanish.
And which ancestor was this?
This was our great grandfather. He'd be your great. Here's Jean on the phone now. Let me stop for a second.
Okay.
Talk to her. Hey, Jean, what's up? Yeah, I did, because I'm turning you on. I'm turning my nephew, who's from. So, Jean.
She did research on, or what?
Yes, it's research about the family, about the Suggs. She confirmed that the Suggs were pretty wealthy for Black people. But they came up north. So she's got a book that will open up a lot of territory for you.
Okay, cool.
When he talks to her and get the information from her. And she's got another cousin that's older than her. She said that she will turn him on to her. And she's the one that helped write the book about the family. So that'll open up a whole area for you, besides what I know. She says, I know them all, so once you get all the names, I can explain each of them.
All right. So that's the next question. You did that one?
Tell me everything you know about our ancestors in Chileago,
Chicago.
and I just lived
Okay,
where they
Uh,
when they hang out bars.
okay. We have a history that's something else in Chicago. Mama had 13 or more brothers and sisters. And they're a combination, some of them were in the entertainment business, like Musette called herself a singer. There was one, our favorite was Dixie Gale Lures, and we used to call her the Black Marilyn Monroe. She was pretty, very sexy. She was in the entertainment business. Her friends were like Frank Sinatra and some of the gangsters. One of her boyfriends was Jerry Butler, the Iceman. He's still alive. He's in his 80s now. And one of the funniest things about Jerry Butler, when I grew up, my office was across the street from his in Chicago. But he's a famous singer. And that was my Aunt Dixie's boyfriend. Her real name was Dixie Gale. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until after she died. Now I have a cousin named Gail, Angie Gale, who's named after. Then she had a sister named Celestine. She had one named Bobby. She had Lucille. And then they finally got a boy, and his name was LC. He called himself LC, but his real name was Frank Cecilia. They named him after. They gave him my grandmother's middle name as a middle name. And Frank always wanted a son. And he had all these girls, and then he finally got a son. And he spoiled him until the day, he spoiled him. But then she had Lee. Then she had Essex, who's named after her, some member of her family, of the Suggses. Lee, Essex. Then she had Troy, I think. Then she had Lolita. Jewel Lolita's named after her sister. Then she had, she had a Maxine. There's been two Maxines. The first Maxine died as a baby. Then when her and my mother are having babies at the same time, and she had a second, she had Jewel, she had Troy, then Jewel, then she had Maxine at the end. There was Barbara. Barbara, I think I mentioned her already. But let's see, who else? But they were all having babies. My mother and her mother were having babies at the same time. And they were interesting people. I used to go hang out with them every summer. I would be the only one from here who would go there. And I always felt good because it made me feel like an only child. And they spoiled me. And they would get me anything I wanted while I was there. Any other questions?
The iPad turned off.
Can
This
you hear me?
might this might wait, this might tell us who owned the platform the Davenport side came from,
Plantation.
but do you know more?
We don't know because the Suggses were wealthy. And we don't know about the Alexanders that much. Pooney and them will tell you about the Alexanders. But they did, for some reason, they had money. The Suggses. They had money until our great-grandfather went middle-aged crazy and gave it to all the land and everything to his stepchildren and cheating the other members of the family out. My grandmother had, she had sisters Jewel, Esme, Bessie, and Cecilia. And they were known, they were a highly mischievous group. And what was happening on the Suggs property also found oil. And that, you know, people have fallen outs about money. And so grandma was cheated out of her inheritance about the money. That's all I know, because they used to argue all the time. But the Jewel owned a lot of what they call you maybe don't need to know that, 4-hour hotels in Chicago. She owned about 8. She had a Jewish partner, and they owned a bunch of hotels. They called them 4-hour hotels. But when you get older, I'll tell you what they mean. Anything else?
Nope.
You got any more questions?
Nope.
You sure
No,
you got them all?
Yep.
Let me see. Let me go down this list of questions. We talked about I don't know how they came, they just left, but they stayed in the bucket of blood when they came up. Chances are the Hansberries helped them get into these apartments. The Hansberries was Lorraine Hansberry and them. We talked about my father. I think my father's favorite drink was bourbon and Pepsi. Yeah, he did, you know, he was just happy to come home from the military. I was 14. I told you about Magic Johnson as a kid. Told you about grandma's name, Professor. The other people, I named all her brothers and sisters. And Ted had so many brothers and sisters that we couldn't name them all when he died. Because there was a couple of set of twins. Luke was a twin. He had a brother named Luke. He had a twin. And I think Betty was a twin. So we have a bunch of twins in the family.
Hey, Uncle.
Yeah. So I told you where they live, on the west side and the south side.
Okay.
West side, north side, and their friends were all in the entertainment business. Like it's they knew gangsters.
So did you know anything about the plantation?
No, they I talked to Pooney she knows more about the Alexander side, but the Suggses were, well, like I said, they own the land, but as far as you can see. And I've been down there.
So wait, she knows about the Suggs or the Alexanders?
The Suggs, they're both of them, they intermarried. All of grandma's sisters married, the Suggs girls married Alexanders.
Okay, and how are we related to I'm sorry, what's your cousin's name?
Which one?
The one that you got me in touch with.
Oh, it's Jean. Horton is Honey, her father was my mother's grandmother's brother. And there's another one named Al Q or something that she was explaining to me. But she says she's got the book. And from the book, you will get more names of a who's who from the Sugg side. Pooney will try to hook you up with the people from the Alexander side.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Uncle.
He's changing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a unique family because they were smart. My mother's innate. My father was smart in his way, but my mother was very intelligent. And there's a picture of her and Lawrence and Tony when my mother decided she wanted to take the GED, where you know how people study for it now and have classes and do all that. She passed the GED in 2 days without studying. That's how smart she was. And our innate intelligence comes from the both of them, but my mom was extremely smart. That's why we got all these degrees and stuff.
Well, you know, intelligence comes from mothers. No, it does, for real. Scientific.
And,
comes from mothers.
she was a brilliant. My mom was a brilliant woman, and we all got our education and stuff. She made sure we all got our education. Ed did never want us to work in the plants. He was opposed to that. We were all going to be officers and a gentleman.
Yep.
That's what he wanted. He wanted us to be professionals. He would never tell you he was proud of you, but he told everybody else in this city about us. He never would tell us how proud he was of us. But everybody knew. And another thing about him.
Yeah, because he's, hold up, oh, Greg, it is Lawrence Jr. Because I remember I used to ride around here at Lansing, and he would show pictures of my father with the president all the time. My son works with the president. My son, yeah. All around that. He used to take me to his barbershop. You know how long he was bald?
Yeah.
I used to go to the barbershop with my old man, with the old man, and sit there and say, what's he doing here all day? Go ahead. I'll just chat away.
Yeah, well, he would never tell us, but most people didn't understand. We as kids didn't understand. My father was well respected in this community, and his family was, most of them were well respected. One became the director of corrections. A funny thing about that.
He had 19 brothers and sisters, you know that, our grandfather.
And the funny thing about that, one of his nephews was the warden of Jackson Prison. And Sam, one of them here, Abe or Sam, was the shot caller at Jackson Prison. He was in jail and he ran Jackson Prison. So nobody knew that his uncle, the warden's uncle, was the shot caller. Well respected. They're funny men. Your Uncle Ted was standing out in front of the house one day. He was about 13, and Uncle Ab came by and saw him, said, "Boy, I want you to drive me home." He was drunk. And at 13, he taught Teddy how to drive him home.
Because he's old.
And but we all knew each other because our family's so big. You come to
Yep.
land, you start dating a girl, she might be your relative. That happened to my son. Prettiest girl in the class when he was in high school was his cousin. And he didn't know it. And we didn't know until we went to a funeral. So, but that's the same in Chicago. My cousin Junior dated my cousin Pooney's daughter and didn't know that was his cousin. They were that big.
That's Alexander?
On the Alexander side.
Okay.
They were Robinsons. But we have cousins, like I said, we have cousins who are movie stars. We have cousins who are singers, entertainers. Dixie was tight with Frank Sinatra. And there was a guy named Nancy Sinatra and her first husband. They came up on the elevator together. And his name is Tommy Darren or something like that. He beat Nancy Sinatra in front of my aunt. And Nancy Sinatra begged her not to tell. Tommy Sands was the actor. And Nancy begged him, Nancy Sinatra, she's still alive. She begged him not to tell her daddy. But my aunt was loyal to who? Frank Sinatra. And Sam Giancana and them. And she told Frank, Tommy Sands, I now know he's dead, but it's after he died maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But his career ended after my mother told Frank Sinatra, he was a movie star, that he had beat his daughter. That, you know, it was a trip. Dave Garraway, the creator of Today, lived across from my mom and them in Chicago. So they knew everybody. And there's even more, but you know.
Where's grandma born at? I never asked that question.
Oh, here, come on.
She was born in Chicago. She was born in Chicago.
Where's our grandmother born? Where was our grandmother Bernice born?
Chicago.
Okay, so she's from
They
Chicago.
weren't Southern.
She was born in Hollis Springs.
Okay. No,
She was born in Hollis Springs.
no. I thought she was
Nope.
born in Chicago.
Nobody, none of them were born.
Our
Were
grandmother.
born in Holly Springs.
Yeah, they were. Because remember, she was only 14 when they got married, like 14, 15. They were young.
She was
How old was grandma when they got married?
16,
16. And how old was grandpa? 19, 20?
19. He was 19. They're approximately 3 years apart.
It was
I
14.
thought she was born in Hollis Springs, Mississippi.
Nope. She was born in Chicago.
You're the only one who thought that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I knew she was younger than him. That's why I figured she was born up north.
No,
She's
she
probably
was
the first
born
one.
in Chicago because she worked
Yeah.
at food. That's how they met, at a grocery store, corner market.
Okay.
She managed the corner market at 16 years old.
Boy.
She was always the boss.
Yes. I remember he told me one time, he said, your grandma put voodoo on me or something. He said, he's accused her, you some Santeria. He's always accused her of something. I said, I don't think she got voodoo. I said, I don't think
She had good stuff because he had 12 kids.
yeah, so I told him about
He
that joke one time.
always told us we were the result of a good time.
Yeah. Well, he told me one time, he goes, your grandma's only good for having babies. And I said to him, they all look like you. So
No, your father looks like him
yeah.
more than anybody. He's
Teddy
a
did.
dark version of your grandpa. He looks exactly like him. And stuff. If you see pictures, Chrissy looked your Uncle Chris looked like Frank
Mm.
and stuff. Half of us looked like Alexander's, other half looked like Davenport on the Davenport side. But they were, like I said, they're interesting people. One was the famous Chicago policeman called Two Gun Pete. His partner was one of my father's adopted brothers, Two Gun Pete. And famous gangsters, everybody knew them. We had one uncle who lived to be 105, and he knew Muddy Waters. In fact, he's buried by Muddy Waters and them.
All right. Yeah, old Delta Blues, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I studied that in college.
But they were interesting. Like I said, I got to meet them all because I like hanging around old people, and they liked me. Plus, it was very profitable.
Yeah,
Everybody
they learned a lot.
money. My father was cheap. He would, when I went to Chicago, I might have $5, but the rest of the time, they gave me money, all my aunts and stuff. Never wanted for nothing. That's why I wanted to move to Chicago when I got older.
Yeah.
Your father and them had to chase me down because I ran away when they came to get me, to bring me back to Lansing. I don't know if you remember that. Him and Teddy. And I had learned the neighborhood, so I ran away. They finally figured out I went to my Aunt Teeny's house and came and got me and forced me to go to Lansing, come back to Lansing.
I'm sure your father was waiting for you.
What?
Sure, your father was waiting for you. Ted was waiting for you. Ted Sr. was waiting for you.
Oh, Ted, yeah. But I told Dixie I had spent the whole summer smoking and drinking. And guess what age I was?
13.
Nope. I
Older?
was 8.
Damn. How'd you
Me
got a lot of money back then?
Me and Frank used to sit in the window and my grandma and I'd drink and smoke. And he said, you're old enough to smoke, you're old enough to drink. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
They
How
were
old
a trip.
Yeah.
But it's cured me. I don't drink or I don't smoke
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah. I remember Ted Sr. with that pipe of his.
Yeah. My other cousin talks about my dad and his pipe.
Yeah.
But you never knew, like I said, we all disliked him because he was so rough and we had to fight him. But the bottom line was he was well respected around Lansing.
Yeah.
But he had a woman behind him that smoothed everything.
Yeah, because he was a little rough.
Yeah. But she made him president of model cities and everything.
Boy, I couldn't imagine that.
What?
I couldn't imagine that because he didn't seem to be that talkative a guy.
No, he ran model cities. He's the one that helped these fools live better in Lansing.
Yeah.
But but it was the old lady behind everything. I'll tell you a story about the old lady. When I had lied, I was a senior in high school. And, my grade point average in high school was 1.6.
We need 2.0 to graduate, don't you?
So I was going to graduate, but I went and interviewed. I lied and got an interview with William Milliken. And after I had the interview, I wrote it up for the school newspaper and everything. And I came back and I told everybody I was going to. It was supposed to have been Chrissy the year before, but Chrissy quit the football team when he was captain, so they blackballed him. So he was supposed to be the governor's page. And they wouldn't let him.
Mm.
But so I came back and told everybody I was going to be the governor's page. Governor ain't never had a page.
Yeah.
Now, the point of the matter is, Bernice decided that she wasn't going to have me embarrass myself. So she stopped George Romney
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and asked him, you know, I don't want my son to be embarrassed. You're going to make him a page. And he did. That's how I got to meet Nixon and everybody.
Mm.
And it was from my mama. She knew George Wallace. She knew everybody. Robert Kennedy. She put the coat on his last visit to Michigan on both of them, George Wallace and Robert.
I knew she
Kennedy.
was active. I didn't know all of that.
What'd you say?
I knew she was active. I didn't know all that because I know she helped a lot of Black folks get into work, get work for the
She
state.
everybody that got hired.
Yeah,
She was the first affirmative action officer for the state.
yeah.
Because the guy, his name was Bernard Houston, he had promised her a job. There's a picture of you and Tony.
Oh, yeah, I see it. She's on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, that was her. And she went down there and took the GED exam, passed, and George Romney liked her. And he gave her that job. He told him he had promised he would create a job for her if only she had a high school diploma. He'd make her a professional. And he didn't understand. That woman was brilliant.
Yeah.
He went there, took that GED and took the thing back to him. The guy started looking like Stevie Wonder. And she went to George Romney because most people didn't know she'd get the office so early.
Hey, Carter, could you stop that, please? I got to right here.
She would meet the governor. She was the first person the governor saw every morning when he reported to work. And when he came in, he told the governor what this guy Bernard Houston had done, and the governor told him to create the job. And that's how she became the first affirmative action officer for the whole state.
Yeah.
And so she was brilliant. And everything we got is based on the way she was. But she was tough, and she didn't mind taking a licking because she was going to fight back.
Yeah.
Her and Ted would go knuckle. He went Knuckle City for a long time, but here's the problem. We all grew up, and then we started
Yeah.
messing with him. But he, until the day he died, he was still crazy, feisty.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he became a good man. I understood him.
I did too. I said I had different conversations with my other cousins, you know, because I tell them this. Ted was a different man to me. He was a calm man. He was a man of faith.
He was a good
He talked about
grandfather.
all kinds of things, books, well read, but he didn't talk to them about it. He just talked to me about it.
No, he was a good grandfather.
Yeah.
And just like Crazy LC was a great uncle. You ask your father about LC.
Yeah, because I mean, Grandpa used to sit around reading history, books, literature. He said, read. Yeah.
Yeah, he was smart. Like I said, everybody around here, if you talk to them today, they'll praise Ted Davenport.
Yeah.
And he, if he was alive today, I'm sitting in a house of a guy he hated. This house I own. And he would have been around like Teddy when he went to Morris River Drive. He would, he used to go over and cut Teddy's yard and look at the white people and laugh. So Teddy was one of the first Black people on Morris River Drive.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this guy built this house by hand. This is a great house. I'm gonna hate to give it up, but I'm leaving it to my kids and whatever they do with it after I'm gone. Because all I'm gonna be is over there at Chapel Hill. with my wife and Mama and Daddy and Chris. I hope to get Teddy over there,
Yeah.
but you know, but I respect him more the older I got, and after I had kids. Then
Well, I
as
think people appreciated
tell
what he had to go through to put food on the table and to stay alive. You know, I think
Yeah,
people, I think people look back and they say, well, he just was like this. I said, man, you know how hard it would have been to be a black man in the 40s and 50s. People forget.
Yeah.
I mean, that was insane. The fact that he didn't shoot up the town was amazing to me.
No, but he had a quick temper. He beat up a policeman one time over a basketball game.
Hold this for me.
The
That looked like a foul.
referee in the game, and he cheated the black people, so he beat him up. That's how he lost.
That's the first icon.
That's why we didn't have a good Christmas one time. We had Mama had to take all the gifts back.
Mm-hmm.
The guy said, pay me, or we'll put him in jail. But that's the way he was. But like I said, I'm glad, even with all his craziness, I'm glad he was my father, and I'm glad that she was my mother.
He came home most nights.
What I am without it. That's how life was.
Yeah. Shoot,
But we're all successful. Yeah. We all became what we became because of the both of them.
Yeah.
Didn't matter that our cousins hated us or whatever. Didn't matter. His kids, like my father used to say, these fuckers, we still taping. He said, these people hate us. How can they hate us? Because a factory worker kid, a factory worker's son, a high school dropout kids were better than all the kids who were on third base.
Yeah. Well, he used to say to me all the time, "Them Lansing Negroes ain't work." That's, how that ended.
No, but
that phrase.
But he just like like I said, and he can hold a grudge now.
Yeah, he hated all the Lansing black folks. He used to ride around. I figured he just rode around that Oldsmobile 88, just yelling out the window, tell him how much he hated him. He was like, "It's Ted Senior comes. I hate you. See you next week."
Uncle Greg, do you know how I could track down one of the cars that he made?
You see them all the time.
I know, but how do I track down one made at Fisher Body?
Shoot, the last one was Oldsmobile. That would have been
everything made at Fisher. All the bodies came Fisher. Yeah. He once scratched his name in somebody's new car. He put his initials on somebody's new car.
He told you that, or they found out?
Yeah. He said, if you ever see the car, it's underneath the dashboard.
So what years did he work at Fisher Body?
Doggone. He retired early. It was, I think he, up until, let's see, my mom got him, up until, then he was out, a lawyer. He worked about 28 years at Fisher Body. Then this fool started bugging him. Then he had to step in, and because guy was trying to fire him. And I see the guy now, he works behind the counter up at Safeway.
So what year was that? Because I want to get a car made at Fisher Body during those years.
Anything from
before 1980.
Before 1980, yeah.
Yeah, that's when he retired.
But
so he dropped out of high school?
They didn't really have high school for color.
He didn't drop, he got kicked out for beating up the football coach.
Makes sense.
Called him a white ninny, He said, what? He called him behind the stands and beat him up.
14 years old. He's like, come over here, coach. I got something for you.
At 14?
No, he was a senior.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
18.
That's why he went off to Chicago.
All right.
Isn't there a picture of him in a basketball uniform somewhere?
Yep, at the it was in the Sexton Library. I got it one day and looked at it. He was a basketball player. He was a fancy dancer. He was the best dancer in Lansing. Jiggerbug. What was that called? Jiggerbug or?
Yeah. Because
He was
my father said he used to wear those zoot, what they call them, zoot suits.
suit
He
suits.
said he was a real dresser. He was a snappy dresser.
And there's a picture of him and the old lady going to a formal dinner,
Mm-hmm.
a formal dance. Only time he ever did. He got real dressed up and took her out.
Are there any photos from their wedding?
No, this is they were kids when they got married.
So no
But-
photos from the wedding.
Esme bought her dress though. I always remember that. And her aunt Esme. And they were but it was but I remember when Lizzie went through the cotillion, he would I don't think he went. No, we went, I just went with my mama. But cotillion and all that, he was not a fancy man when it comes to going out. He never wanted to eat, and I knew he never wanted restaurant food. He always wanted her to cook. And at the end, I knew he was dying. Like Teddy, there's two things about Teddy. Teddy never wanted a new car. You know, after the rest of his life, all of his cars were used. And I knew Teddy was in bad shape when he told me he's going to buy him a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with the old man. He was on his, he was in the hospital. And he said, would you get me a hamburger? I said, what? He didn't like McDonald's, but he said, go get me a hamburger. And a pint of liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, didn't he see, when he was dying, didn't he see an old white man?
Yeah, Bill. He said
Yeah.
at the end.
Bill. His name was Bill.
So what happened? Tell me the story.
Like the crossroads.
He argued with Bill. They brought him in, and the nurse said that he and Bill argued for about an hour about life and death. And then he told him, I still got things to do. And Bill finally convinced him to die, to come with him. And he told the people, and the nurse asked him, who are you talking to? And she's named Bill. And he said, you know all these don't you see all these white people around him? And she said, where's Bill from? And he told him, Kentucky. And so finally he agreed to go with Bill. That's when he went into the coma and he never woke up.
But he called him Cracker Bill or something like that, right?
Yeah, he said redneck. He said, don't you see all these rednecks around him? So that woman she asked, I guess, Denny and them, who's Bill? And they said, I didn't know. But he went to sleep and he never woke up. The funny thing about her, the old lady would always laugh and say that she said when he slept, he always looked dead when he was sleeping. And when everybody was leaving the room, she turned around and looked at him. They were going to breakfast when he died. And she told everybody in the room, your father's dead. That's when they knew he was dead. Or the time or the time I had come up with Dorothy, my daughter, and she was down at the end of the bed playing, but you know they had strokes at the same time. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, because grandma was in the other hospital. She was Sparrow, wasn't she?
She was at St. Lawrence and he was at
Oh, you
Sparrow.
Sparrow. Okay, yeah.
They pronounced they wanted to do the last rites. So they brought her over from St. Lawrence to Sparrow. She came they rolled her into the room and he was out. And she told him, "You son of a bitch, you ain't dying now."
You got up. She said, shut up.
And she says, and he sat straight up
Shut up, old woman.
and he lived 6 more weeks.
Yeah, didn't he say, shut up, old woman? He
What?
told her, shut up. Didn't he tell her, shut up? He told her to keep quiet.
I don't remember, but he agreed that he wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
And but he came back as a young man. And he could see himself as a young man and her as a young woman. And he made Chrissy mad, hurt his feelings. He said, "You ain't taking my woman back to Chicago. That's my woman." And he looked at her like she was young again. And he was young. And for the last 6 weeks of his life, he was a young man again. Yeah. That's how it was.
Yeah, remember he talked about getting in the car and driving down to Chicago.
Yeah.
With her. Like, get the kids in the car and let's go.
But that's the way he was. Like I said, you don't realize about fathers and sons. Like him and Teddy used to fight like cats and dogs. But at the end, they told each other they loved each other. And it hurt him when Teddy died.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, but it happens, that's why I don't hold grudges against nobody. No. Just like my cousin, I got a cousin Mickey is about to die. He's in Atlanta. He's about to pass. My cousin James had a tumor on his spine. He might go. His sister's got COPD. And his other sister got that fat surgery and came back and doubled in weight. She's about to go.
Yeah.
See? And so you don't hold grudges. Just say, hey, only person I'm gonna do, like I got a cousin Paula who died last Monday. Already I'd go see her is I thought they were gonna put her in a casket. They cremated her. I hate cremation. I ain't doing it. Y'all got to come see me in my splendor. And I'll be next, like I tell just like Sherry before she left, a week before she died. I told her, I said, she was worried about me leaving her and moving to Texas. And I had to tell her, I said, nah, I said, we're going to be together till death do us part. And she died a week later. I didn't know that. But, that's life. But now I'm going to be laid out in all my splendor in blue and gray. With my blue tie, my Michigan stuff on. When I go.
Hey, so your cousin Jean said to call her now or what?
No, she said when you get the move to find out, when you need to get the information. She's there now because I know she went to church earlier today. So she's there right now if you want to call her.
Yeah, where does she live?
St. Louis.
Oh,
okay.
We got
right.
cousins in St. Louis, Kansas City.
It was 6 here, there's 8 there.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna try her right now then.
Because what time is it
All
now?
right, if she's there, I don't know if she went back to church or what, but I'll be seeing Gene. We got cousins in Omaha. Our cousins, our family are related to the Hutchinsons. You know who the Hutchinsons are?
No.
Emotions. Plus Maurice White and them. We're related to them.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Minnie Ripperton. We're related to a lot of people. You would be surprised.
How are we related to Minnie Ripperton?
She's on the Davenport side.
Oh, I got one question here. Because our grandfather used to say we had some native Indian blood in us. Is that true, or is he making
do.
that stuff up?
Mickey proved that. They're Cherokee.
Okay. Because we figured he was just being funny.
No. Look at my father, you can tell. North Carolina.
Yeah.
And Mickey
Right.
proved it because he got money. Our cousin Mickey became a
Oh,
slave. He got Indian money. So he proved it.
he proved it well.
Yeah, but I think that Alexander's had, if we got what those moles on our body, a lot of us have moles. That's from being Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And the diabetes from being Indian.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true.
So how are we related to Minnie
Like
Ripperton?
Jackson's up there in Montana. They're related. Your grandmother was related to Indians.
Yep.
On that
So
side.
How are we related to Minnie Ripperton?
She's in the family. Just like when you guys go back to Florida, there's a representative named Goldsby. I saw it on Facebook today. She would be related. There's Goldsbys in our family.
Mm.
Just like I said, Two Gun Pete partner was related to us. Everybody,
Right.
You'd be surprised.
Well, let us go call Gene, and we'll catch up with you later, Uncle.
All right, I'll be here.
Or were you?
I told my kids I can't. They asked me, TJ wants me to sell this house, but I said it's all going to you guys anyway. But I want everything sold the day I die. I want everything cleared out, sell it, divide the money. I want no arguments. Just give me a good funeral, like the old ladies.
Yep, that was a good one.
Have a good repast. But only difference about mine is free liquor and a DJ. I'm doing it just like my best friend in Chicago did. I want y'all to have a great time and remember who I was. And there's no limit of anybody want to say something. You know, I'll talk about 2 minutes. Now, speak all you want. I'm paying for it.
All right.
All right. You guys take care. Tell Gene
take care, Uncle.
hello.
All right.
All right. Bye.